Alright, everyone, welcome back. So I know the audio and and probably the lighting obviously looks weird. I am away for the Labor Day weekend in America, so for the next, I believe, 4 days or so, you're going to see videos come out from this area. So the audio may be a little bit different, the lighting may be a little bit different, but hopefully everything else will stay the same. So regardless, we got a 23-24 season preview here today with the Seattle Kraken. The Kraken are obviously a fun team because they're heading into their third season in being in the NHL. And definitely last year was a big step in the right direction for sure. They went 46, 28, and 8 last year for 100 points. They were 12th in the NHL when they lost in round two. No one expected for them to go on this amazing run. They were more looked at as, just a bunch of misfits, a bunch of guys and that were selected out of the expansion draft or were traded away from teams that didn't want them. Honestly, that's really what this team is when you look at them. And they're developing their own identity, I will say that, because obviously, they're signing more players and drafting more players of their own. But obviously, it's going to take a while for them to get to that point. So your departures and your arrivals here for the Seattle Kraken go as follows. Your departures list is Morgan Geekie, Daniel Sprong, Carson Sussy, Ryan Donato, Martin Jones, and Jonas Donskoy. So that is your full departures list there. Not a bad list overall. You're not losing all too much. Geekie, a still relatively young forward. He went to Boston. Sprong went to Detroit. Not bad there. Sussy, not horrible to lose him. Neither is Donato. Jones was a good backup. It's going to stink being without him, but I think they're still in a good spot. They are pretty stacked goalie-wise, so they need to get a goalie out of there anyways. And then Jonas Donskoy as well, also retired recently due to the injuries he faced. So I do hate that. It's unfortunate, but obviously, best wishes to him. Arrivals list goes as follows, and it's not that big of a list. You got Kailer Yamamoto, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Brian Dumoulin, along with Connor Carrick as well. So really not that big of acquisitions there. Yamamoto, a good bottom six forward probably. Bellemare, a good depth center. Dumoulin, a good third pairing defender most likely. And then Connor Carrick is also another one of those guys that will be a depth player most likely. Your lineup here goes as follows. You have McCann, Beniers, and Eberle as your first line. Then you have Schwartz, Wenberg, and Burakovsky as your second line there. Obviously, these lines are via the Hockey News, so I forgot to disclaimer that. But obviously, not a bad top six whatsoever. I like the Kraken a lot. They're a good team full of young misfits and a team that obviously, did decently well last year. And I think, honestly, maybe this year they'll be a little bit worse, but I still think they'll be a consistent playoff team for sure. I just don't think they're at that stage yet where you can say, yeah, they're a cup contending team or they're a playoff contender as of right now, if I'm being honest. They're still going to develop a lot of very young guys. They're still going to fix some of the problems in their decor, their goaltending, and their offense as well. But I think they're in a good spot. But yeah, that top six overall, I like a lot. Very solid top six there. They're not like star-powered top six either. They're really deep. They're a deeper team than others. Bottom six here, you got Eli Tolvanen, Yanni Gord, and Oliver Bjorkstrand. Then you got Chris Tanev, Shane Wright, and Kailer Yamamoto. So, yeah, that is your bottom six there. Tolvanen, Gord, Bjorkstrand, that's your third line. Some of those guys would be, like top liners on other teams if we're being honest. When you look at some of the weaker teams in the league, they are pretty deep down the middle. And they aren't like star players either, but they're still like really decent guys, and that's really what you see here throughout basically the entire roster. Now Shane Wright obviously had a weird point there. He played like 4 games last year, and obviously didn't play too well. This season they're expecting him for him to be better because he obviously played with the Coachella Valley Firebirds and in the OHL. But yeah, Shane Wright's expected there to have a decently good year, a good rookie season at that. And then Yamamoto, too, one of the outsiders there that was recently acquired. We'll see how he does as a good young forward who just never could get it going at Edmonton. And then obviously there, Chris Tanev, too, has been dealing with injuries. So we'll see if he can stay healthy. Extra guys, you got Ty Kierte, who played in the playoffs, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Cole Lind. I like Kierte a lot. I think he'll get a good shot there. Just the issue is on that left wing side, they are deep. I will say that. So he's going to need to make the best out of he can in training camp. Bellemare, good depth center, and then Lind, obviously, another player who will play some games, of course. Your defense here is as follows. You got Vince Dunn and Adam Larson. Then you got Jamie Alexiak and Will Borgen. Then you got Brian Dumoulin and Justin Schultz. And then Jason Magna and Hayden Fleury as your extra defenders. So obviously not that bad of a defense. Still, like, no elite star power players, but still, like, a lot of, solid, decent guys that makes a pretty good defense when you combine them all together. So yeah, overall, I like that a lot. Dumoulin, a good acquisition there. To that bottom pairing playing with Schultz, who I believe was with Pittsburgh when Dumoulin was there, so obviously there was that chemistry. But yeah, the blue line overall, not the best in the world, but still a decent one at that. And then goaltending too is where you're going to see a lot of controversy. You got Philip Grubauer and Chris Drieger as your two main goalies. Then you got Joey Dackard as your third string. And that's my biggest X factor. My biggest X factor for this team right now is the goaltending. How is the goaltending going to do? Because, yes, in the playoffs, Philip Grubauer looked good. Played well against Colorado, played well against Dallas. My question is, though, is that going to translate to this coming season, or are we just going to look at another year where Grubauer's going to be bad? Like, honestly, he wasn't terrible in, that first half of the, in the regular season. And he put up okay stats, but his save percentage was below average, like a .901. It just really, we're going to need to see more out of him in the regular season if we're going to say, yeah, they're a really good cup contending team. If he's good by playoffs, sure, but honestly, that's really what's going to make or break this team in yes, it's a weak, but it's a rising Pacific Division for sure. Your biggest question is, what's the next step for this team at this point? Well, honestly, I'd say the next step is trying to get to the conference finals and trying to win a Stanley Cup. Because obviously, they were still they were still looked at as being in that rebuild stage. And this year they kind of proved that maybe they aren't exactly. And yes, they already have a lot of young guys they've drafted and are coming up through the system that are very underrated. We're going to see some guys come up this season for sure and play well. But obviously, it's going to be really interesting to see what some of those guys are going to do. But yeah, the next step right now is to probably just keep building this team. I wouldn't fully push for a Stanley Cup just yet. I don't know if they're in their best spot right now because down the road, Benier should be solid, Wright should be solid. Edward Sale, that's what I meant to say, will come up into the lineup, and then they'll fix their goaltending situation there too. It's just going to take a little bit. It's going to take a few years for them to get to that cup contending point. But obviously, I think a lot of fans would be very angry if the Kraken did win in their third season in the NHL. 23/24 point projections go as follows here for the Kraken per the Hockey News' fantasy guide. So you have Matty Beniers here leading the way with 77 points. Jared McCann in second with 62. Vince Dunn in third with 53. Eberle in fourth with 50. And then Bjorkstrand in fifth with 49. So obviously they're pretty accurate. Beniers is going to have a solid season. I was interested in where they had Wright. They have Wright scoring 38 points this coming year. So we'll see if that actually happens. Your sleeper or your bust is Jared McCann. McCann had a career-high 40-goal season last year while averaging just 16 minutes and seeing a huge bump in his shooting percentage. That screams regression. He won't hit 40 when his scoring efficiency falls back down to earth. Yes, obviously McCann had a pretty good 40-goal score year. Maybe that doesn't happen again. Who honestly knows? But yeah, we'll really see what's going to happen. But yeah, honestly, we'll find out. We'll find out. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, that'll do it for this 23-24 season preview here for the Seattle Kraken. Thank you all very much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and down below. I really appreciate it. Again, apologies for the setup, apologies for the audio, apologies for the lighting. It's not all too ideal, but this is what we're going to have to deal with for the next 4 days. Tomorrow is the Anaheim Ducks. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.